Yeah, what's good YouTube? It's your boy Only1KDB and I'm back with another video. On today's video we got wrestlers who failed in Hollywood. Now this video should be interesting, but if you're new to the channel, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Smash that like button because it helps me get into the algorithm, and hit that notification bell because you can get notified when I drop another banger. We finna get to the video. No more talking, let's get it, man. Hope y'all boys enjoying y'all day. Y'all already know classes in session. Take out y'all notepads and don't come in here horse playing because it's too goddamn early. Let's get it.
While pro wrestling is known for its hard-hitting combination of sports and entertainment, some superstars are able to take the skills that they learned in the ring to the big screen. Some of the biggest movie stars of the last decade, like Batista, John Cena, and of course, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, all came from the ring, and when you think about it, it makes a lot of sense as to how they became such great actors. They traveled the roads, cutting promos, and essentially performing improv 360 days a year as these wrestling megastars. However, even with all that experience under their belt, there are some superstars who just failed to reach that same level of Hollywood success for one reason or another. So, my name is Greesh from Wrestleology, and today we'll be looking at 5 examples of those who, while having all the success in the world in WWE, just couldn't make it under the bright lights of Hollywood. Also, fam, let me get 1,000 likes, please. Love y'all. Alright, so starting off, let's take a look at perhaps the biggest superstar to ever walk through WWE, Stone Cold Steve Austin. Yeah, while Austin became WWE's flagship performer in the Attitude Era, following his early retirement in 2003, Austin found the transfer from the ring to the big screen rather difficult. Despite landing some big movies like The Expendables, a movie that saw Austin actually fracture Sylvester Stallone's neck, Austin rarely ever featured as the leading man in any of his movies. And if he was a main star of a movie, it was more likely that it went straight to DVD. Most of what he was given didn't really help either, with his IMDb page showcasing a pretty average career. His best real movie has a score of just 6.5, and with most of his movies typically sitting at a 5 to 6 score out of 10.
Again, at least he was brave enough to even jump in the field and even try it, cause like that's a whole nother level. Like, even though you do act in the WWE, but it's like different to like go from the WWE to like acting in movies. Like, that's a huge step, and for him to take that, he had some courage. I ain't gonna lie, cause I want to act in movies too, but like, that's a whole nother level of acting, I'm not gonna lie.
Nothing necessarily bad, but an average movie career for someone like Austin may feel a bit bizarre given the immense star power he brings to the table. And it was probably that star power that continued to land him in these roles, as from an acting standpoint, there are clear difficulties to come with working with him. Austin is just a bit too unique to play anyone but himself. His Texas drawl, badass demeanor, and incredible popular wrestling persona limits what you can do with him as an actor. Don't get me wrong, Austin does have range. He can be serious,
give me a hell yeah,
happy, you name it. But sadly, despite this range, it's really hard to look at Austin and think of him as anyone else but Austin. Hell, even in a wig, it's very clear that it's just Steve Austin.
Wait, he was in a wig?
That's not a knock on the guy either. His once-in-a-lifetime persona that he brings is captivating.
Bro, when I was younger, he dropped it. When I was younger, I used to always want to like drink beer because I used to watch WWE, and he used to like, you know what I'm saying, drink the beer and shit. I used to always like get sodas from the store and act like I was drinking beer. I was a bad kid, I get it. But like, hey, like, we used to try that shit, man. We ain't used to drink actual beer, but we used to act like we was, just like the little candy canes we used to get from the store and act like they was fucking cigarettes. Don't do that at home, kid. Don't try that shit. That shit ain't... I don't even know if they still sell that shit.
We saw during his run in WWE. But it's hard to see Steve Austin as anything but the Stone Cold Texas Rattlesnake that we've witnessed for decades now. So it's no surprise that these days, if he's in a movie, he's either playing himself or a parody thereof. He's such a great personality that to be anyone else is almost impossible. And interestingly, I'd say that Kane, aka Glenn Jacobs, had a similar issue during his brief movie career. When you look at a guy like Glenn Jacobs, it's hard not to take in the big hunking brute that lays before you. And as we saw in WWE, that absolutely works. A big powerhouse killer is the perfect role for him to play, and when he applied that to his role in a movie like
I feel like he could have played like Michael Myers or something. Like he could have been in one of those Halloween movies.
No Evil, it really worked. Sure, perhaps it's easy to immediately think of Jacobs as a horrifying monster given his story as Kane in the WWE, but it just seemed like the perfect role for him. However, on the flip side of that statement, with a look like that, it's pretty hard to imagine him playing any other kind of role. But hey, maybe that's a good thing since Jacobs never really seemed to have the acting bug after See No Evil. He wasn't even initially interested in joining the theatrical world of pro wrestling until he suffered a knee injury in his early life, killing his dreams of joining the NFL. He's always loved the physical side of the business more than the theatrics, which is why his most successful runs came when he was a silent, masked, stonewall killer of the roster, which is why once he decided that his time in WWE was winding down, he focused on his insurance company and his politics, becoming mayor of Knox County, instead of pursuing something like Hollywood. Next up, we've got another massive player that actually has had a long history with a big red machine, Paul White, aka The Big Show. Over his near 3-decade-long career in
Fun fact, I did not know his name was Paul White. That is crazy, man. I need to do some more research on these wrestlers. I don't be knowing their real name. All I be knowing is their stage name or they, you know what I'm saying, their WWE name.
Pro wrestling, Big Show was actually able to showcase some acting talent in the ring. For real, take a look back at his career, and you can see that Big Show might low-key be a really good actor. Not only can he cry on command, a skill that many actors would kill to have, but he's also able to make people look behind the size of the 7-footer to see the human emotion in his eyes. He's not just a serious monster. As we've seen in movies like Waterboy and Knucklehead, he can also be quite the comedic character given the opportunity. Hell, even Netflix saw his potential and gave him an entire series called The Big Show Show, which received mixed to positive reviews from fans. And it's The Big Show where things perhaps fell apart for him in Hollywood. That show was meant to act as his big break, but unfortunately not enough people watched it to get a taste of what he can do, and those who did watch it seemed to forget about it fairly soon after. I still think he can become a new movie star though in these later stages of his life. While he's firmly back in the world of wrestling with his career in AEW, I still think that just one good role could transform people's perception of White as an actor. Alas, he never got his big standout movies like Andre the Giant before him in The Princess Bride, so Big Show's interesting talents have only really been recognized by those watching him in the ring or in some of his more so mediocre comedic stuff like Knucklehead. But while Show continuously pursued acting as a potential career path, Randy Orton's limited time acting seemed to leave him unenthused about the possibility of joining Hollywood anytime soon. Sure, in WWE, Orton has showcased an immense amount of range. He's had completely different characters and gimmicks over the last few decades in WWE, showing up as the young hot start son of a legend. We've seen him turn into a smiley but obnoxious dweeb with the RNN breaking news segment, a brash prick in Evolution, a psychopath serial killer assassin with anger issues, and more, while always drawing fans in through a subtle facial expression. Like Roman Reigns during his matches as the Tribal Chief, Orton is a very meticulous and detail-oriented performer. Every subtle motion, every facial tick is intentional.
I seen a podcast where they said him and Evan Bourne did not work on this. Like they just did this on the fly. The fact that they can just do this on the fly and it actually works to perfection, bro, just to show that just goes to show you how much talent they got. Like look at this shit, Chief.
Bro. Orton is a very.
This was not practice. This was not worked on or nothing. They just did it.
Meticulous and detail-oriented performer. Every subtle motion, every facial tick is intentional and purposeful, and as I sit here looking back at some of the biggest matches of his career, it's hard to argue that Orton might low-key be one of the best actors to come out of WWE. He's even been given main roles in movies like 12 Rounds 2 Reloaded and The Condemned 2 to unfortunately not much success. Don't get me wrong, the talent is there, but perhaps Orton's career in Hollywood was littered with more issues outside of his control rather than anything. Not only that, but even according to Randy himself, he just never thought of Hollywood as a dream needing to be achieved. Quote, "I don't think acting is my passion. I'm not trying to move to Hollywood or New York and be a full-time actor. The way Batista and Cena did it is they used WWE as a jumping board to go onto Hollywood. I'm happy with my place in WWE right now. I see myself with WWE for life."
I mean, that's not necessarily a bad thing. Like, you could use all the advantages that you can. Like they use the advantage because they work for WWE. Then they just springboarded themselves into Hollywood and acting roles. But ain't nothing wrong with that. I probably would have did the same thing. I'm not gonna lie. But acting is that's a huge step. I'm not gonna lie. Like acting in WWE and acting in movies is like different. I feel like.
Whether he changes his mind or not is up in the air, but if he did decide to pursue acting after his wrestling career, then I don't see why the Viper couldn't slither up the box office charts to become another WWE Hollywood success story. However, as it stands right now, I really don't think that that's something that we could call him. And for our final talking point, we got Randy Orton's former mentor, Triple H, and he clearly saw Hollywood differently than Randy before ultimately planting his feet as the leader of the WWE locker room. As he'll tell you himself, Triple H has a massive ego, so of course he looks at Hollywood as a goal of his, and right off the bat he got pretty big opportunities when starring in Blade Trinity. He even got himself to appear alongside film legends like Wesley Snipers, Ryan Reynolds, and Remy the Rat himself, Patton Oswalt. Sadly though, the movie was littered with production issues that left fans of the series with a very disappointing movie. Panned by critics, Triple H's first outing in Hollywood was a horrible experience. So after the movie, Triple H went back to WWE to act as one of its top superstars for the rest of his career. And during his continuous reign of terror over the company, Hunter would get more film opportunities following WWE's creation of their own movie studio, WWE Films. He was planned to star in a movie written by John Milius, writer of The Apocalypse Now and Conan the Barbarian, but that fell apart after his beloved father-in-law got into a power struggle with John. Of course, Triple H did eventually get his chance to feature as a lead in a few WWE films, this time referring to The Chaperone to mostly negative reviews and Inside Out. No, he didn't play as a figment of a little girl's imagination, but rather as a hard-hitting ex-con who would do anything to protect his family. No, this is not the same type of movie that you're thinking about. Out of his system and his role in WWE only getting bigger, Triple H let go of those aspirations to become the leader of the company that we see today. Sure, he didn't end up as a great actor like some of those around him, including a guy he personally brought up in Batista, but Triple H is a prime example of a WWE superstar whose failure in Hollywood perhaps turned out for the better in his current professional setting. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Let me know of any other WWE superstars you can think of who failed in Hollywood, and if you
That was a great video, my boy. But I ain't gonna lie, don't you know when Triple H be like spitting out water when he come in, like doing his entrance and shit? I used to always try to do that shit as a kid. Like I used to spit it all in the air, spit the water in the air. Pause, that sounded crazy. I used to spit the water in the air and it used to come back down on my face. Like,
beg your pardon? I beg your pardon?
Like, how do you not make it do that? Like, I ain't know how to do it. I still don't know how to do it to this day. Well, I never tried it in recent memory, but we about to get out of here, man. If y'all enjoyed that reaction video, make sure y'all like, share, and subscribe.